Just as a disclaimer, we want you to know that some of the movies that we will be reviewing were shot in a different time and era where people of race and sex were not treated equally. We understand this and hope you do too. The movies or anything that happened on the sets are not the views of this podcast or what this show is intended to be all about.
Exactly. And we want to give due diligence in presenting the movie and not the views of the cast or directors or anyone involved. But we also feel it's necessary to let the audience know some of the background information to get a feel for what was happening at the time of shooting the film. Again, we hope you understand that we do not agree with everything that went on, and we just want to give out the information. And with that being said, hope you enjoy the show.
This is the end of the line.
Telling me.
Did I tell you about the pool here?
For Daniel LaRusso,
Is this the only pool you guys got?
the future seemed far from terrific
This place is a dump. You should go back to New Jersey.
Hey, I know it's hard, but we're not quitters, are we?
until he met the right girl.
She's beautiful. I say she's beautiful. I think she's beautiful. Is that your address? You got it.
But that only angered the wrong guy.
You know, country club at 9:30. Definitely. You gotta be nuts.
And his troubles really began.
Dad, push it. Now you can pay.
Then, in one man, he found a teacher
I promise teach karate.
and a friend.
Fighting always last answer.
How did you do that?
Don't know. First time. Power. Whole body. Make a perfect picture.
How do I know if my picture's the right one?
If come from inside you, always right on. Lesson about the balance, not just karate. Lesson for whole life. Why train?
So I won't have to fight.
Hey, Karate Kid, let's take a move. Points or no points, you're dead meat.
I don't have much of a cheering section. You got me.
In the end, it will be in Daniel's hands, in his body, and most of all, in his mind.
Concentrate, focus, power. Remember balance. No mercy.
Columbia Pictures presents The Karate Kid.
Hey, what kind of belt do you have?
Canvas. You like? JC Penney 398.
All right, guys, long time no see. Welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema podcast. I'm your host, Jimbo, and today I'm joined by a concurring guest,
Eric Cummings.
Eric Cummings.
Thanks for having me in. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about 80s movies. It's kind of my
anytime we have an 80s movie, it's his dig, his schnick.
Yeah.
So today we'll be discussing this episode 45. For those of you following on at home, we will talk about The Karate Kid. So, but before we get too much into this movie, a couple of things. One, Terrence is MIA. I don't know where he's at. Just kidding. He's actually working and all that. So I figured, hey, the show must go on. So every time he's not here, I'm just going to keep trudging along. So that way we get more episodes out. But number two, something really exciting happened the last couple of weeks. For those of you that aren't in the Facebook group, we now have official merchandise. That's right. It is on Redbubble. REDBUBBLE. .com. Just search The Tragedy of Cinema. There will be like a thing pop up at the bottom. It'll be like one of the items. You click that, it'll take you to other items. You can search by men's, women's, children's. We got coffee cups, shower curtains, wall art, stickers, pretty much anything you can think of. Natalie Knight has done a fantastic job setting that up for us. She's also going to be adding she's added a couple other designs, logos. She's going to be doing some art for us later on when she gets some time. She's pretty packed right now through September and October, so maybe later in the year. So really excited. Please go check that out. And that's a way we can help give back to Natalie for helping us create this logo and art and all that. So go check it out. And hey, if you buy something, send a picture to the Gmail so we can see it, or put it on the Facebook group so everybody can see it. So yes, Dad, I know you're listening. So you did get the very first thing. I did get you a coffee cup. I have it in my truck. I showed Eric. He thought it was really cool. So
Really
I'll be
nice.
giving that to you pretty soon. But before we get much further, we usually throw Terrence a question. Well, Eric, instead of giving you a question, we are going to dive into something that you didn't get turned in on time, but we want to get your opinion on it because you are a big proprietor of the Lost Boys. So, Terrence, almost called you Terrence. So,
Yeah,
Eric,
I'm still here.
let's hear your thoughts and feelings on the Lost Boys, because inquiring minds will know. I would like to know. The audience would like to know. Let's get this before we dive into the Karate Kid.
Yeah, I didn't get my comments in under the gun. Not to beat a dead horse. I know you really love to stick it to all the Facebook page guys. Just a quick review. First of all, I understand where people are coming from, and case in point is going to be the movie that we're going to cover here in a minute. My point was basically that your perspective changes. The Lost Boys I saw when I was an adult. I think if I would have seen it as a kid, it would have stuck in my memory, and it would have been probably one of my favorites. But overall, I guess, not that it matters, but my review is like it was just kind of cheesy, and both my teenage daughters watched it, and they were just like, when is this going to end? Please turn it off. So I kind of use them as a filter to go through movies, whether they hold up over time, and just wasn't a big fan of it. But I don't know why you asked me to inject this into
because
our new
I
episode,
need
but-
some backup. Because
Yeah, I know you need some ammo. So this is more, ammo in his gun for.
the hatred of the Lost Boys.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, I mean, with his daughters, they didn't even like Breakfast at Tiffany's. Is that the one that you watched that they didn't like?
No, they did like that.
What
one.
was the one that we were talking about that you said that they didn't care for? You were like, oh, this is good, and they were like, eh.
Other than the Lost Boys, yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't remember.
I remember you sending me a message like my daughters just didn't even get into it. Or what? I thought it was Breakfast at Tiffany's, but it could have been something else.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about that. Let's go ahead and let's talk about this awesome movie from, was it 85, I think?
1984.
84. Man, I was just a young kid. I was 7
was
years
I.
old,
Yeah.
All right, Eric, take her away.
All right, the movie for today's episode is The Karate Kid. The release date was June 22nd, 1984. The runtime was 2 hours and 6 minutes. It had a budget of $8 million and raked in some dough because the box office earnings were $100 million in U.S. and Canada combined. It was directed by John G. Alvidson, and the writing credits are to Robert Mark Kamen, and we'll get to that in a moment. There's some interesting points about the writer and how this screenplay came together. The technical specs under that category, the production company is Delphi 2 Productions. Not really sure where those are located. I'm assuming it's out in California and Hollywood, maybe somewhere. Jerry Weintraub Productions, and it was distributed by Columbia Pictures. All right, pretty short section there. Now on to the awards segment. The Academy Awards of USA 1985. There was an Oscar nominee for Pat Morita for Best Actor in Supporting Role. And the Golden Globes USA 1985, they were nominated, or Pat Morita was a nominee, for the Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role in a Motion Picture. And then the Young Artist Awards in 1985, they were a winner of the Young Artist Awards, and the winner was Elizabeth Shue, and she won in the category for Best Supporting Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical, Comedy, Adventure, or Drama. And they also were nominated in the Young Artist Awards in 1985. William Zabka was a a nominee for Young Artist Award for Best Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture, Musical, Comedy, Adventure, Drama. And then on to the synopsis of the movie. The synopsis is Daniel LaRusso, a teenager that moved across the country with his mom, finds himself being bullied in his new high school. Daniel learns karate from an unlikely source, which helps him face his fears. So it's a coming-of-age movie. It was one of my favorites as a kid.
Now, let me ask you a question before we even dive into the cast and all that. Did it ever specifically state why they were moving across country?
I think his mom got a job with a computer company.
But did they ever say what happened to his dad?
I don't know that they said in the very first movie. That's I think implied that he passed away, but in later movies, I think they do confirm that his father passed away when Daniel was pretty young.
It's been a while since I've seen the.
Yeah,
I personally like the second one. It's my favorite.
Yeah, the sequel. That's what I was just thinking the other day. The sequel is as good, or maybe even better than the first movie.
Right. And while we're on the talk of the sequel, actually, this movie was supposed to end where it was after. You know how it ended with him smiling.
The parking lot scene.
It was the parking lot scene where. But we'll get there.
Yep.
I don't want to go ahead and ruin the ending before we
begin. Right.
All right. So the cast, and then again, I'll tell you if there's some stuff in here about people that were supposed to play the character turned down the role. Blah blah blah. So Ralph Macchio was Daniel LaRusso. Interesting fact: Charlie Sheen turned down this role.
Okay.
Also, Kyle Eastwood, which is Clint Eastwood's son, auditioned, but he didn't get it, which led to Clint boycotting all Coca-Cola products from his movie sets.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, well, you ain't going to get my son a part. I'm not going to support you with your product, Coca-Cola product, because Coca-Cola was a big sponsor of this movie. Sean Penn.
Okay.
D.B. Sweeney, he read for the part, but he declined.
Just watched him in 8 Men Out yesterday.
I love that movie.
Playing Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Yep. Best character, dude.
Is Scott Baio on that list?
No.
He would have been perfect with, the Happy Days connection.
Yeah, with Pat Morita.
Yeah.
C. Thomas Howell. He was asked to read, but he declined. So, I don't even know if I can think of anything Kyle Eastwood's been in. Can you?
I can't either.
Right. So, then you have Pat Morita, who played Mr. Miyagi, which he played. It says Noriyukai Pat Morita was his actual Japanese name. Two people that were gonna interested in playing are Toshiro Mifunes and Mako, but he was already committed to making Conan the Destroyer. So.
Trying to think. Oh, yeah. I don't remember his.
Then you had Elizabeth Shue. She played Allie with an eye.
Allie with an eye.
Allie with an eye. And she's been in a lot of movies. Adventures in Babysitting. I think we discovered Back to the Future 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. There was a couple other ones in there. Martin Cove. He played Kreese.
John Kreese.
There's a long-standing rumor that John Kreese said that Chuck Norris was offered to play this role. And that was offered to him, but that he declined it because he didn't want to see a karate instructor be so hard on his students or whatever. And when Chuck Norris was asked about this, he's like, no. He's like, I was never offered the role. He's like, but I would have turned it down for the reasons he said. So, makes sense.
Either way, he wasn't going to play it.
Right. You had Randy Heller as Lucille. William Zabka played Johnny. Ron Thomas was Bobby. Rob Garrison was Tommy. Chad McQueen played Dutch. Do you know who Chad McQueen was?
He's Steve McQueen's son.
Steve McQueen's son. But what was interesting about that is Steve McQueen was really good friends with Bruce Lee. He was even a pallbearer at Bruce Lee's funeral.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So the karate connection, there. Tony O'Dell played Jimmy. Israel Jarabi played Freddie. William Bassett, Mr. Mills. Larry B. Scott played Jerry. Julie Fields played Susan, and Dana Anderson played Barbara. So, Eric, where would you like to start on this great classic movie?
Wherever you are on your notes, where I'm ready to go.
Well, okay, we'll start at the ending. No. Well, let's just go ahead and give a little bit of backdrop. So, the movie starts out with this teenage kid and his mom leaving, I think, New Jersey,
right,
and going all the way to California. I mean, that's coast to coast. You know what I mean? Oh, nice! You got the movie playing as we're going. I love it.
Helps us walk through it. Yeah.
They did say that Daniel LaRusso was in that he's in every scene of this movie. Oh, but watch right here. Did you see this? Rewind it for just a second. You'll see this guy at the beginning where she's going into the apartment carrying this box. In the background, if you look closely, you'll see this guy right back here walking by. So they don't know if that was a stuntman because what? She doesn't open the door. The door just opened.
Ah,
Did you see that?
Very interesting.
Very interesting catch. I watched that last night. I was like, no, I don't know if there was an apartment behind there that he was going to, but then she doesn't even touch the door. So I was like, it's probably a stuntman cut on tape or whatever.
Right.
So Ralph Macchio, he was only 22 while filming this movie.
Playing what, 18? 16?
No, something like that. He was young, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was always a running joke that guy looked like he was 16 when he was 30.
Yeah, and what was he on Dancing with the Stars not too long ago, dude? He still looks the same.
Yeah, he looks very young, and he's like in his 50s now.
All right, here's a pop question at you, Eric.
Okay.
What is the logo on the back of Daniel's karate outfit?
Gi?
Yeah.
What's the logo?
What's the logo?
It's the tree, right? The
what kind of tree? Bonsai.
Bonsai tree. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Miyagi, Pat Morita, actually designed that himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I know Pat Morita almost didn't get cast because he was sort of a comedic actor.
Yeah, they didn't
early
think
in his career, and they didn't think he would translate.
Right.
His accent wasn't right or something, and then he started pattering. I can't even say the word.
Pattering.
Patterned his life or his accent after his uncle.
Right.
And so that kind of secured his role and sealed the deal.
Because up to this point,
a
lot of people knew him as Arnold. Was it not Arnold?
Yeah, Arnold from Happy Days.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was very comedic there, too. So.
Right.
So as they're traveling across country, Daniel's going to a new school. He's got to make new friends. You know, you see all of his friends as he's leaving. He's like, oh, you got to do this. You got to do that. And his mom, all she talks about is this pool. There's going to be this pool there. You're going to wake up, you're going to go to the pool, the beach. And they get to this hotel or the place where they're staying. Yeah. And this pool, man, it looks like the scum pond. He's like, is this the only pool? She's like, I know you're upset about this. But anyway, their sink doesn't work. It's clogged or something. And they're like, well, there's this guy, downstairs, a maintenance man that comes fix it. So he goes down there and he's like, hey, you the maintenance guy? And he's like, hi. he's like, oh yeah. He's like, okay, well, it's this room, this, whatever. So, that's your first look at Mr. Miyagi. He just plays like a handyman at this apartment, but it looks like a hotel. You know what I mean? So
before that, though, you skipped over this important beach scene where he is confronted by Johnny the first time.
But because before this he was talking with his mom about the sink needed clogged. He went downstairs, but then now he's like, Mom, I know I was supposed to help you unpack, but there's this thing tonight because he met that kid that was carrying stuff
helping him take his.
Did you notice that kid's shirt?
No, I didn't.
Making bacon, and it was two pigs on the front of the shirt.
Was it? No, really? I didn't notice that.
But yeah, so he had like this party he was going to on the beach.
What's his name? Freddie? Is that his friend's name? I think it's Freddie. Maybe.
I think so. So this is the first time they're playing volley or soccer on the beach, and it's his first look at his new love interest. I guess he's got a little flirtatious crush where they're kicking the soccer ball back and forth, and he's at this party a long time because it's like
day until
night, and there's a whole beach scene where they're sitting by a fire, and she keeps looking at him, and he keeps looking at her, and they're like, hey, you need to go talk to her. And he's like, no. And she's like, yeah, she's looking at you. So then one guy gets the idea, hey, he kicks the ball over to her, or over to the girls, and one of the girls passes it to that girl. And so he's like, okay, I'll go over there. You can take it away anytime.
And then as soon as they meet up, right, and then enters Johnny and his Cobra Kai pull up on their dirt bikes. What is it with the 80s and dirt bikes in every movie? Karate and dirt bikes were like themes of major movies in the 80s. So Johnny comes on his dirt bike with his buddies. He's going to turn his senior year life around. He's going to get it together.
He's not a degenerate anymore. Now, but one of the things that people need to realize is that Allie with an I, the girl, she was Johnny's ex-girlfriend.
Yep.
So when he sees Daniel kicking the ball around with her,
Flirting with her.
right, she's got this old boom box. Those of us that are older, we had these big stereo systems, and she was playing music. Well, Johnny comes up to it and he's like, I just want to talk to you, and he grabs the thing and throws it around and stuff, and then she's like, give it back to me and I'll talk or whatever. And Daniel's like, he throws it on the ground, and Daniel goes over there and grabs it, and he's like, hey man, and then it starts. That's all Johnny needed.
Johnny the bully.
Johnny the bully,
the major antagonist of the movie. And he knows karate. And Daniel gets a thorough beating, but he does get one sucker punch in the scene where he throws some sand in Johnny's eye and punches him.
Yeah, and then after that they just
pummel him. And
he just wants to be. You just leave him alone. You can tell he's about to cry. He's like, his face is down in the sand. He's like, she's like, and Allie comes up to him and is like, hey, let me help you. I can help you get you home. He's like, no, I just want to be left alone. Well, my mom basically wanted to escape out. He's just like, So Johnny and him, take their dirt bikes and throw some dirt in his face and everything. So the next morning, he wakes up and he comes down and he just sticks his head in the refrigerator. And she's like, hey, she's like, hey, your breakfast is ready or whatever. And he's like, oh no, I'm not hungry. I gotta get to school. And he's standing behind this fridge, and she's like, well,
tries to hide the black eye from his mom.
Right. So he puts these big Tom Cruise sunglasses from Top Gun, and she's like, take off the glasses. No, Mama, I gotta go. She's like, now.
How many times? I got a question. How many times did Allie get him beat up though? He was
man.
Like hanging around her all the time, and then Johnny was just pummeling him because he was hanging around his ex-girlfriend.
Well, there was more scenes that were deleted or shot or not shot or in the book, but one of them is in the lunchroom where he buys her lunch or whatever, and there's like a blueberry pie or something, and Johnny takes it and slides it under his seat, so he sits down on it, so he's got blueberry, and then he takes what's left over the blueberry and wipes on Johnny's shirt, and the big old fight breaks out there. So it's really interesting though, because the whole movie, you see Daniel just get picked on, and then until and you see him, Mr. Miyagi finally decides to come fix the sink, and you see Daniel in there just doing some kicks out of a book, and he's like, "Oh, you know karate?" And he's like, yeah, he's like, from a book. He's like, I took some class at the YMCA, right? He's like, so he's like, oh, what happened to your eye? He said, I fell off my bike. He's like, you fell off your bike, but hurt your hands or whatever. He's like, so he's on to it. He knows what's going on.
Yeah.
So
we got your notes there next.
Well, it jumps around from the beginning. In,
right.
So let's see.
Some highlights.
Yeah, we're getting to some of them. So Miyagi sees that, and so Daniel just keeps getting beat up, and so there's this Halloween party. He wasn't going to go, and he talks to Mr. Miyagi, and he's like, yeah, you need to go or whatever. So he's like, I don't want to be seen. So one of the greatest costumes of all time, the shower.
Yeah.
It's just a shower curtain wrapped around his body like a hula hoop. So that's where Allie comes in there, and it's now... No, this is coming up. So Johnny and him and his Cobra Kai had all dressed up like skeletons.
Yeah.
And so Daniel, he's in the bathroom, and one of the Cobra Kai come in there and say, "Johnny, you in here, Johnny?" So he's in the one of the stalls rolling a joint with headphones on or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, oh man. So he's like, what? And so Daniel's washing his hands, and he's in the shower curtain. So the one guy leaves, and he turns around and he sees that water hose hooked to the sink. He's like, So you see him sneak over there, and he puts the hose right above.
The wrap right above Johnny's stall.
Right above his stall. And
turns the water
on. He starts running out. He's like, get out of the way. And he runs by Allie with an eye. And it's like, what's going on? Retribution's coming around or whatever. And, he takes off running. And then you see Johnny screaming, oh. He's like, get him. And then you see her trip him. So they couldn't catch him right away. So you see him cars are wrecking outside because he's running in the street, and they start running down, and he almost makes it back to his apartment, but he goes to jump the fence and like, where are you going? And that's where they grabbed him.
Catch up to him.
And they just, they are pummeling the kid. So one guy's even like, Johnny, that's enough. He can't even stand. He's like, I'll tell you when it's enough. Yeah. So it's really cool in the background. You see, that somebody jumping over the top of the fence, and next thing you see is Mr. Miyagi just going to town, man. It's like the whole fight only lasted 9 seconds from what I read.
Okay.
And he's like, oh, Daniel. And, Daniel looks at him and he's like, he can barely see anything. Like, he's going out of conscience. And he just sees him tearing people up. Now, Mr. Miyagi's stunt double did that. And they had to do that scene multiple times because the actors were like, hey, he's really hitting us too hard. Or, you know what I mean? And so Mr. Miyagi's stunt double, I can't think of his name right now. It's in here somewhere. But he said, you let me bring my, because he was a real karate instructor. He's like, you let me bring my students in here, we'll do it in one take. And he brought them in, and they did it in one take.
Okay.
I was like, that's very interesting.
Yeah, that is. I didn't know that. That's pretty interesting stuff.
So, Danielson wakes up, and Mr. Miyagi's in there with tea and all that. And he's like, man, did you see Spider-Man? He's like, and Mr. Miyagi's kind of quiet. He's like, it was you? He's like, man, where'd you learn how to do all that? So he's like, have you ever taught anybody? He's like, no. He's like, okay, well, tomorrow. He's like, why do you want to learn? And this is the forefront for the entire movie, because Daniel's like, well, I'm tired of getting beat up. And Miyagi's like, that's not a reason to learn karate.
Balance
in your life. Right. So, and now we're getting to some of my favorite parts of the movie. So he shows up to Miyagi's
house.
Well, before that, don't they go to the dojo first?
Yeah, they go to the dojo to try to persuade Kreese to have his guys lay off of Daniel. Daniel knows that he's got no options. Basically, he's going to get beat up
every day. And
so they go to the dojo. They try to appeal to Kreese's good nature, which he doesn't have any. And there's a poster on the wall when they go in to try to work out a solution to this problem. And they decide that they're going to settle the score at this All Valley Under-18 karate tournament. But Daniel needs time to train, so there's sort of an agreement between both parties that he's going to be left alone so that he can train. He's not going to get beat up every day by these Cobra Kai.
Right, but before this, a day or two before, Daniel actually he's eating with his mom, and he walks over to the dojo, and he's like, "Oh, karate!" He's like, because he wants to take karate,
he wants to learn karate.
So they're in there, and they're like, "Die, show no mercy." They're hardcore, and then he's like, "Mr. Lawrence, get up here and lead the group," and they all bow, and when they bow, it's Johnny up there, and he's looking right at Daniel. He just smiles, and Daniel's like, "You got to be kidding me!" He walks out
of all the karate dojos.
Of all the karate dojos in this town, you walked into mine, So. Now he's like, well, this is great. So this is why I'm getting beat up all the time, because this guy knows karate. So when we go back to where Miyagi goes with Daniel there, Johnny's got like a black eye, and he's like, Mr. Lawrence, what is your problem or whatever? And he whispers something. You don't know what he says to him. So he comes over there and he's like, all right, guys, fall in behind me. And he's like, look, I came here to ask you to leave the boy alone. He's like, well, you put him on the mat against one of my guys right now. He's like, boy needs training. He's like, well, he can't take care of himself. He's like, 1-on-1 probably. He's like, but not 5-on-1 every day. He's like, well, just get on my mat. You come into my dojo and you make a challenge, and then you don't want to do anything about it. He's like, well, where are we going to do it at? He's like, no. He's like, there's too much advantage on your home dojo turf. He's like, where do you want to do it? And Miyagi just gets the points back to the side or whatever. And he's like, I only make one request, leave him alone so he can train. He said he needs training. And his training is some of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yep.
So Daniel shows up the next day at Mr. Miyagi's house, because he doesn't live in the apartment. He just has like a workshop there. But his house is like, he's like, where are we going? It's like back in like train.
Like a rail yard.
Like a rail yard. There's like a little thing with a bunch of cars, and you see all these cars sitting out there, and he's like, and Miyagi, Daniel said, sit. So they sit down, he has that talk with him. He's like, he's like, training, he's like, rules. He's like, number one, you do what I say. He said, and 2, he said, no questions. He's like, okay. He's like, he's like, no questions. He's like, okay. He's like, so he brings out this bucket of water and this sponge, and he's like, okay. He's like, wash the cars. He's like, wax on right hand circles, wax off left hand circles, and then
the famous, most quoted line of the movie: "Wax on, wax off."
Right. So you see Daniel doing this, and he's doing this, and he's like, no, and he grabs it. He's like, don't forget to breathe. So he's, wax on, wax off, wax on, and so nighttime comes, and he's done all the cars and the thing. He's like, okay. He's like, come back tomorrow, and so Daniel's like, okay. So they come back tomorrow. He's like, okay, now you're going to sand the floor. He's like, what are these? These are like drums or whatever, remember? He's like, no, sand the floor. He's like, big circles this way, big circles this way. And he's like, okay. So he's like, do the whole floor. So this thing wraps around the entire property.
Right. His whole big, huge wooden deck.
Right. He's like big circles, little circles, big circles. And so, I mean, he's on his hands and knees doing this for the entire night again. And then you come to the next day, which is paint the fence.
Right.
And, you see him, he's like, no, you want to do big strokes, up, down, big strokes,
down.
And then he comes out, he says, oh, you're doing good, Daniel. So he's like, but small post, I want you to do with your left hand, the big post with your right hand. He's like, but I'm almost done. He's like, no, the whole fence. And you look around, this thing goes around the entire property. And so it's about midday, and Daniel comes over. He's like, oh, I'm done. I'm done.
Both
he's like, yeah. He's like, both sides. He's like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So Daniel's. You see Daniel doing that, and he comes the next day. He's
goes
like,
on for several days.
The next day he comes and he says, he's like, we start early in the morning. He's like, get here at 6 or whatever. And he's like, there's a note on the door and it says, paint the house, side to side. Don't forget to breathe. And he's like, you got to be kidding me. He's so mad, and he throws his paper down. And Miyagi comes home at nighttime, and he's like, oh, good, good, Daniel. So he's at his fishing pole, and he's like, what, you went fishing? He's like, you didn't even think to bum me? He's like, you weren't here, And so this is when Daniel goes off. He's like, look, he's like, I have asked you to train me. You don't train me. He said, I'm not your handy boy. Oh, that's a great scene too. There, we forgot the catching the fly. This happens in between. I think
beginner's luck.
Yeah, and there's the Miyagi said that with chopsticks trying to catch his fly, and he's like, "What are you trying to do?" He's like, "Trying to catch his fly." He's like, "If a man who catches fly with chopsticks can accomplish anything." And Daniel sits down, and I think on his third swipe, he's like, "Look, I got it!" And Mr. Miyagi's like, beginner's luck, because he's been trying to do this forever. So
then we come to like the best scene of the movie. We both agree it's probably one of the best scenes in the entire movie, where all of his training comes together.
Right. So when Miyagi and him, Daniel just blows up at him after the paint the house. He's like, "Look," he's like, "You told me you would train me." He's like, "I'm not your handy boy. I'm not here to sand your floors, wash your cars, paint your fence." He's like, "You told me you would do karate, and you ain't taught me anything." He's like, "Daniel," he's like, "Show me, what was it? Wax on, wax off." And then so Daniel goes down. He's like, "No, look me in the eye." He says, "Show me wax on, wax off." He's like, "No, big circles," and he's hitting his hands. He's like, "Show me sand the floor," and he's does the same thing. He says, "Show me paint the fence." He does that. So then Miyagi's like, "All right, good," and then he just attacks him. Like, well, Daniel's doing all these moves that he has learned. So unbeknownst to Daniel, he has been learning muscle movement and
muscle memory, and all this stuff has been ingrained in his training. Yeah. Pretty cool.
It's a great cool scene. And we agreed that this is probably the turning point of the movie, because he's shocked that he's actually learning something, even though he's accomplishing work for Miyagi. And this scene right here, you know what, I thought about this when I knew you was coming. There's a scene where they're on the ocean. This reminds me of when we were in Florida together at Treasure Island, when we used to ride the waves, because he's in there, the waves are knocking him over.
Crane kicks?
Yeah. But
we get attacked by some cranes.
Yeah, feeding them with the bread. Yeah. So this is where Daniel, he's like, you need to learn your balance. So the waves are crashing into him, but he looks over and Miyagi's on top of one of these little, what do we call them? Perches, I guess, like a post. And he's standing on there and he's doing he sees him doing the crane kick. And he's just jumping up and down.
So that wasn't Pat Morita.
No, it's a stunt double. Right. I mean, It looks just like him, though. I mean, but you always notice how far away it is and stuff.
Yeah.
But look how good it is. Then you got the guys sitting there on the car drinking beer bottles on his car. Miyagi was funny in this movie because he goes, get your stuff off my car.
His
We gotta
comedic
leave.
acting came through.
And he goes, and he just karate chops the bar, the beer bottles, and the guy's like, well, and they pick up all their stuff, and Daniel's like, wow, how'd you do that? He's like, I don't know, it was my first time. But then he has like learning his balance on the bow of the boat, and they have a talk, and he's like, no, you need to learn. He's like, when am I going to learn to throw a punch? And he's like, no, you need to learn balance. And he shakes the boat, and he falls in the water. Well, actually, that was in December, and the water was freezing. So when he's like, it was actually a true story.
Yeah.
Or true reaction. And this is one of the touching scenes of the movie, too, where you see Miyagi drinking, and there's a picture of this lady. You don't know who it is, and Miyagi's already drunk, hammered. And Daniel comes in, on his bike or whatever. He's like, this is Mrs. Miyagi. And he goes rambling on, and he shows a picture of, this is the first Mr. Miyagi baby.
Right. And it's more than meets the eye to this, what seemingly unassuming handyman. I mean, he knows karate, he's got a deep history, he was a war veteran, and all these things, all this information kind of comes out in the scene.
All in this scene.
And he lost his wife and newborn baby in this, at birth.
For complications to the birth.
And so all this stuff comes out, and he's got a Medal of Honor, Miyagi does.
Right.
We learn a lot about Mr. Miyagi in this scene. It's a really touching scene. Daniel's empathizing and is sorrowful for Mr. Miyagi and losing his family, and he seems to be all alone, and he sort of helps him stagger into bed. And
right, the Medal of Honor that was given, it was the highest military decoration awarded by the United States. It has the blue ribbon, and the inscription containing the words "Valor." In real life, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team had 21 Medal of Honor awardees, including Senator Daniel Inouye of Hawaii. There was also, let me see if I can find it real quick, if you want to keep talking for a second.
So the scene basically ends with Daniel leaving Mr. Miyagi, and we come to find out later that he takes some of his medals and he puts them in like a shadow box as a present to gift him back. Mr. Miyagi also reads a letter, what seems from the U.S. military, like a letter describing what happened to his wife and kids, and he sort of slurs and stumbles around and reads this letter, and then Daniel picks up a Los Angeles newspaper and reads some of the headlines.
Right.
So that's kind of a theme that runs through the Karate Kid movies, like even the newer one. I think in the newer one with Jackie Chan, I don't know if you've ever seen that one, when he's training Will Smith's son in the newer Karate Kid. The same thing happens to the Miyagi-esque character and Jackie Chan every year on the anniversary of his wife and kid's death. In the newer movie, he destroys a car. He takes a sledgehammer and starts smashing a car, and then he takes the whole year after that to rebuild the car, just to smash it up and tear it up to sort of, I guess, just feel the pain. And so that was kind of a theme that they ran with in some of the newer movies. This Miyagi's celebration, I guess celebrate, memorial would be a better word,
right,
of the awful event that happened in his life.
Well, here's what I was trying to find. When Miyagi is drunk and celebrating his anniversary, he reveals that he served in the Army in the 442nd Regiment Combat Team. The unit, composed mostly of Japanese Americans, many of whom had been in internment camps, fought in Europe during the World War II. It became the most highly decorated unit in the history of the United States military.
Wow.
So that's saying something right there.
Yeah, two of the best scenes come sandwiched right in the middle of the movie.
Right. And here you see what I thought about this scene in particularly is that you see Miyagi drunk. And he passes out, and Daniel goes over there and covers him up, and makes sure he puts everything away or whatever, and it just shows you that he's paying back what Miyagi did to him at the beginning, and I thought that was really cool.
It's a really nice scene.
So
the most unlikely of friendships too, and it all comes together. It's a cool story,
right? And you can kind of tell. I think Daniel kind of looks towards him like a father figure.
Yep.
And I think he kind of teaches him like his son. But see, this is something interesting too. Daniel goes out there and starts learning that kick. Miyagi never taught him how to do that crane kick.
Right.
I remember, but I think that might be the second where he throws that thing at him, and he's on the thing. Mm-hmm. I thought that was very interesting that he went out there just from watching him. He picked up, and you see him on the bow of the boat, sunset, beautiful shot, learning his balance. Mm-hmm. So then you come to the part about throwing punches, and he's like, no, everything within an inch of here, put your whole body behind there. So he's like, hoya, hoya. And then he's like, oh, I got this. He starts doing his feet, all this,
He's doing Muhammad Ali.
And he goes, look, I think you use your feet too much. You dance around too much. So then you come to Daniel's birthday party, and Miyagi's like, look, I got something for you. And
Daniel got the best birthday present ever.
Yeah. And then, he opens up the, what do you call that? His
gi.
His gi, and it's the, that was in the box earlier, if you noticed, at the anniversary celebration that he was at. It was actually the flag thing in the back, and it's on the back
and
of
he
that.
used it as a patch for the...
But he said, this is very interesting because he's like, look, Mrs. Miyagi made this a long time ago, and he has no family, at least here, and he's kind of like passing on something to a son, if you will. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, Miyagi, he's like, I forgot. He's like, I'm supposed to go for a surprise. My mom's having this cake for me that she doesn't know about, that I need to go home to have this birthday cake or whatever. He's like, okay. He's like, but first, step outside. He's like, for birthday present number 2. He's like, oh, you don't have to give me anything else. So he goes outside. He's like, you choose. All them cars that he had waxed earlier, he is giving him a brand new car.
Classics.
Because Daniel had got his driver's license today. And he's like, let me see. So he says, oh, very nice. So he picks the yellow one, which was, a 1948 Ford Super Deluxe.
Convertible, yeah.
The producer actually gave Ralph Macchio that car that he got for his birthday, and he still owns it to this day. So I think that's really cool.
It's also in the new Netflix series Cobra Kai. It makes an appearance a couple of times in the new series. So
nice.
That's a pretty cool callback.
Right. That's at the end. But see, here's something else right here. I don't know if you caught this. So when he says, I got to go meet my mom, she's having a surprise date, where's the first place he goes to?
He goes to the meat alley, though, instead, right?
Right. So I don't know if he was lying to Miyagi, saying that I have to go just because
arcade.
he does. Yeah, but see, something that we failed to mention is there's a scene that we forgot and that we skipped over, and that's where Daniel's supposed to meet her after this dining with her parents.
Yeah.
So she's like, I got to go with my parents, but at 9:30 you can come. Well, he's waiting outside, but Johnny's inside with her parents and all that, and they're dancing or whatever, and she's really not having any of it. And he sneaks in the back, and he sees him, and he sees Johnny dancing. And Johnny sees him through the little kitchen window or whatever, and he plants a kiss on her. Daniel's just like, oh, man. And so, but what he doesn't see is Ali with an eye turn around and all of it smacking or whatever. And then you hear a big crash, and Daniel's like got embarrassed once again, spaghetti all over his pants and shirt. And so he just runs away. So now he's like, look, I'm a jerk. Can you forgive me?
Trying to make amends, yeah.
Right? And she's like, he still thinks, he doesn't know that she slapped him, that she didn't want anything to do with it. And he's like, look, all this. And so through talking with our friends here, come to find out that, hey, you didn't stay around for the right hook. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So he didn't have the whole story, and they end up making up and getting back together, and then he
shows her his car and lets her drive.
Lets her drive it, yeah. Lets her drive it out of the arcade.
And this is the night before his...
How big were arcades in the 80s? They were everywhere.
Do you remember going up here to the malls and having Aladdin's Castle or Palace or whatever?
Was this golf and stuff, or it was something like that? I can't remember the exact name in the movie. It was called like Golf and Play or Golf and Stuff.
I like how she goes over to the water slide, and all the guys are getting out with no shirts on. She's over there all depressed and everything, but no, it's right there when all the guys are getting out. Then they have their first kiss or whatever. But before this is one of my favorite quotes of the movie is when Miyagi gives him things. He's like, Miyagi, he's like, you're the best friend I've ever had. And he's like, you're pretty okay too. And I thought that was hilarious.
What about the bonsai as he's leaving? You left that out where they yell bonsai.
Yeah, well, we didn't even touch on the bonsai thing where they're trimming the trees. They said that they've had that's when he kind of first met him. He's like, you need to clear your head, focus, and just picture this tree. He's like, and just start cutting the tree, which is where he got the logo from.
Right.
And they say, well, so now it's the big tournament. and they're like,
Turn
"Oh, this is
day.
only for brown belts and above." And Miyagi's like, "Ah, he black belt." So he's like, he leans over and he's like, "Yeah, you need to spell my name." And he reaches down, and he steals a black belt and gives it to Allie with an eye, and she starts running to give it to Daniel. And then you have your confrontation with Cobra Kai. Now, who's this guy?
That's Steve McQueen's son.
Yeah.
We mentioned him earlier.
But what I'm saying is, you would think that would be Johnny or something there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's kind of the part that threw me. Why is this guy throwing a big deal about it when Johnny's the one that was the antagonist the whole movie? You know what I mean? I don't know. Right. That kind of didn't make sense to me unless he's facing him early on in the match or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So Miyagi and Daniel, they're both new at the whole karate tournament thing. They don't know any of the rules. They don't know what belt they are. There's no way that he wins this in real life, of course. But I mean, it just makes it all the better cinema.
He walks out. He's like, "How do you win points, or how do you get points?" He's like, "I don't know. It's my first time too." And so Allie obviously knows because she's like, "You get 1 point above the chest."
Being Johnny's
or
girlfriend, she's been to a couple of these probably.
So we're getting to the climax of the movie.
So we go through these various
and the Cobra Kai just
all these
push him
various
around
matches going on simultaneously throughout and then there's lots of good music throughout. I mean the soundtrack is which interesting you bring that up. The best, is it the best or the best around? I don't know.
You're
the title
Best,
of the song
the name of it.
was actually slated to be Rocky 3 movie, but they turned it down for whatever reason. And was it Bill Conti? I think he was
it's in here somewhere.
The composer of the movie, they decided to put it in Karate Kid instead of Rocky 3. And so there's the montage of music, and then of course the matches all going on at the same time. And
right, and
Daniel and Johnny, of course, we know that this is all coming to a head. They advance to the finals.
Now, before we keep going here, we do need to go back to a scene that we forgot about or didn't talk about, and it's when Daniel is yelling at Miyagi. He's like, "I'm sore," and all that. And Miyagi puts his hands together and he does like this rubbing motion, and then he sticks it on Daniel's shoulder, and basically the pain goes away, or at least subsides a little bit. So he's like, "Hey, how'd you do that?" And that's when the thing. So the Cobra Kai they show no mercy or anything, and he tells the one guy. He's like, you need to. What's he telling him to do to the leg?
Sweep the leg.
No, he tells Johnny to sweep the leg. He tells this guy to do the other thing.
He's like, he plants the elbow on the back of the knee.
Yeah, he's like, I'll get disqualified. He's like,
I think Bobby.
Yeah, he's like,
I think Bobby was his name.
Care.
Bobby drops the elbow. That comes later onto his knee, and then Daniel has to go back to the locker room, and then that's when
they say that Daniel has 15 minutes.
To return to the match, or he's forfeited any chance. Yeah, Johnny wins by automatic disqualification.
So Daniel's in the back, and then this is where it comes that he tells him. He says he just wants his mom. His mom's like, "You've done proud. You you never thought you'd make it this far." So Allie and he's like, "I just want to be left alone." So Allie and there it is. So Allie and his mom leave, and. Yeah, he just does that kick to the back of the knee.
Kick to the back of the knee.
Yeah. And he's like, and that was really interesting. He's like, I'm sorry, I didn't want to do it. You know what I mean? And I thought the whole time, all of his Cobra Kai, Kreese's Cobra Kai, they keep telling him to do something. And especially when Johnny goes over to him here in a little bit, you'll see. But here's the scene where they tell him, just leave me alone. Just leave me. So not you, Miyagi. He's like, look, he's like, do you really think I had a shot to win? He's like, win or lose. He said, it doesn't matter to me. He's like, but I don't want to face her. I don't want to face him.
Daniel makes his argument about balance. That word comes back again, and he'll never have balance with not only his friends, his mother, the bully, but himself. That's what was most important. He couldn't have balance with himself. He's always going to feel like he came up short. He has to try and see what happens. However the chips fall, he's gonna go out there.
And Miyagi finally realizes, he gets it. And so he's like, just close your eyes. And you see, and Miyagi does that hand thing, and boom, and the music starts. You know what I mean? And he's like, and he, he starts rubbing it. And so they're getting ready to award Johnny the championship. And Allie with an eye runs out onto the thing again. And she's like, no. Because he's got the trophy and everything. He's like, Daniel LaRusso is going to compete. So Daniel hobbles out there. And I think, what is the best of 5 points? Was it?
I think 3. It was 2-2 until the famous crane kick.
Right.
At the very end, which we already talked about, that wasn't supposed to be the ending of the movie.
Right. So they're fighting. They go back and forth. I think doesn't
Daniel scores the first 2 points, and then Johnny comes back, and then it's 2-2, I believe.
Right. And there's a point in here where Johnny's they call a timeout, and Johnny's nose is bleeding. He goes over to Kreese or whatever. Yeah, here it is.
He tells him to sweep the leg.
Yeah, he's like, sweep the leg. He's like,
the referee is a real karate instructor,
right.
and in real life, the referee
I
in
think
the
it
final
was Pat,
match.
somebody. He's like, you got a problem. But see, even Johnny is looking at him like, this is a competition. This isn't hurt somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then here, the famous crane kick, which...
This is the knee to the elbow to the back of the knee.
And you see that
Daniel can't stand up because that was the knee that had just previously gotten kicked.
Right, and he said that... and the music here is fantastic.
Oh, it's awesome. It just builds to the final kick to the face, and
Johnny's done for.
Which is up for debate whether that's an illegal kick or not. That's always something that if you're interested online, you can read.
But what I thought was really cool is Johnny actually comes and gives him the trophy here too, see? And he's like,
says,
hey,
you're all right,
yeah.
LaRusso, and hands him the All-Valley Under-18 trophy.
And then you have the famous...
The closing fade out of Pat Morita's face of approval and just...
And that, hey, he finally got it,
Right.
And I think it helped him heal too. So we'll talk a little bit about some facts in this movie. The last spin kick that Daniel hit before he saved by Miyagi by the skeletons, it actually hit Ralph Macchio and hurt him, with the
I think I read something where he had a bruise or something on his chin, and that was real because of that.
But, he had so many bruises and everything during this movie. They would come and go and fade and not fade. William Zabka continued his karate training, which was, where's my list? Which was with Johnny. He's actually went all the way up to a second degree green belt. It may be higher now, but he had no
formal training
before that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought the acting on all parts was just. I thought it was great in the movie. I don't want to get ahead to we give our opinions, but.
But he still says a lot of people come up to him and they're just mad at him about that movie. He's like, look, it was written for me. It was a character.
Yeah, he's a villain, in a lot of the roles. I think he kind of was pigeonholed a lot in the roles that he had going after that because he had played such a strong villain in this movie.
Right. He still owns that red leather jacket to this day. I thought that was cool too.
I think they bring that out in Cobra Kai as well. The series.
We talked about the. By the way, Mr. Miyagi was the stunt double is Fumio Demura, the one that I told you about. But one of the doubles is a descendant of Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. So that was pretty cool. Byron Cove claims that fans of the movie always tell him, "I love to hate you." I was like, well, yeah. Sadly, Pat Morita died, and Ralph Macchio said he was my sensei or whatever, at the funeral. So
yeah, he died in 2005, I think.
I know.
I don't know. I don't know the exact date. I think it was around that time.
At the very beginning of the movie, where all the kids are, standing around chasing the car down the streets, they said that the kids kept interrupting the movie. So the director's like, "Look,
put them in.
I'll put you in the movie if you just let us shoot it." And they're like, "Okay, how cool would that have been?" That always takes me back to when Hoosiers, when you could have went down to Hinkle Fieldhouse and been in the movie. You know what I mean? That was the Chuck Norris thing we talked about. At the time, Columbia Pictures was owned by Coca-Cola, which insisted that its products appear on screen. Ralph Macchio objected to that, especially after having to say Minute Maid in the breakfast scene. In Miyagi's workshop, he deliberately covered the Sprite logo with his hand, so they made him redo the scene. This time, Ralph showed the Sprite logo for the shortest time he could get away with. Man, and that's something that's not talked about a lot today is advertisement in movies.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest ones that I remember is Demolition Man. I think that they had a lot of stuff in there.
Pay a lot of big bucks to get their advertising in those movies, yeah.
They say that the fly, where they're trying to catch the fly with the chopsticks, was on a string. You could see the fishing line as it was moved around by a crew member. They said the movie was shot more or less in sequence.
Okay.
They said it was very unusual.
Is that not traditional?
No, they say
they shoot from the ending to the beginning? Or?
No, it's just they usually shoot. They usually just skip around the movie, whatever set's available or whatever.
Yeah.
At the time. The street outside the dojo wasn't closed for filming. They were actually dodging real traffic. I thought, wow. This was the top video rental of 1985.
That makes sense.
No,
That's when I saw it. I think 85 or 86.
For those of you kids at home, VHS was a video cassette that you'd have to use a VCR to put it in. I still have one somewhere. Elizabeth Shue actually grew up playing soccer. She played with the boys as long as she could before finally taking up gymnastics.
Some skills.
And she tried to act like she was fake at it, but I mean, you could tell.
Good.
You could tell. She was also went to Harvard.
Wow, I didn't know that until reading over the notes. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason she didn't come back for the sequels, because she wanted to focus on her
education.
Right. I talked about the blueberry thing. The other scene that I was talking about that was cut or whatever was Daniel was going up for a drink at the water fountain. He comes up to find himself face to face with Johnny. The director, John G. Avildsen, had to climb to the top of a factory in the opening shot to achieve the angle of Daniel and his mother driving away.
Okay.
The director driving
the angle's high up
right.
in the air with the kids all around the station wagon.
They say the beach was the first scene filmed, so I don't know. There are 2 actors in this film with 2 degrees of separation from Bruce Lee. One we talked about was Chad McQueen, who played Dutch as the son of Steve McQueen, who was the pallbearer. Also, Patty Johnson, who plays the referee, was in Enter the Dragon in 1973. Although he does not appear on screen with Lee, Johnson played a mobster who tries to rough up Roper. So, Daniel Russo's in every scene of this film. This featured Pat Morita's only Oscar-nominated performance.
Yeah, it was worth it. Definitely worthy of it.
They also had him stand on a 4-inch box so they could fit him into a face-to-face shot with Daniel.
Okay.
Because he was a small guy.
He's a small guy.
He was a real small guy. The football jersey that Daniel was wearing when talking to Mr. Miyagi on the bed is number 89 for the San Diego Chargers.
I was trying to figure out who that was.
In 1984, would have been wide receiver Wes Chandler.
Wes Chandler, okay.
Wes Chandler.
I had no idea who that is.
Of all the people, Wes Chandler. Andrew Shue, who was Elizabeth's younger brother, starred in Melrose Place in 1992. He actually has a small part in this in the background as a participant in the karate tournament. If you look closely, he can be seen in the background while Daniel is squaring off against some of the other participants at the tournament.
Okay.
In real life, Pat Morita spoke perfect English with no accent.
Right. If you
he modeled his speech and accent for Mr. Miyagi off of this uncle, which you hit on earlier.
Yeah.
The 500th film mixed in the Dolby stereo format. So, only a couple more here. Let's see. Oh, I talked about this. The scene where Daniel was dumped in the water off the boat by Miyagi was filmed in late December in Chatsworth, California. The water was so cold that Ralph Macchio didn't need to act when he portrayed how freezing he was out in the water. And then Elizabeth Shue declined to return for The Karate Kid Part 2 because she was studying at Harvard. In the script, Ali dumped Daniel for a football player from UCLA.
All
right, Eric.
All right, Jimbo.
So let me hear your.
Well, before I have a question for you. Where or when do you remember when you saw this movie for the first time? I think I would assume it would be when you were a kid.
Correct. I want to say it might have been at my cousin's house.
Okay.
David and Heather Deanna's.
Okay.
I believe because that's where I usually go. I saw Ernest
there. That's where I
there.
most of my movies too.
Right.
It's a popular place to watch movies.
Yeah,
I guess.
it's the party hangout. No, but I remember watching Ernest there. I think I watched. I think Carrie or Prom Night, something there. I watched a lot of these movies there. Star Wars, obviously. And then I know my other cousin Scotty. We watched a lot of movies too.
Yeah.
I might have been there too. But it's one of them things that I can't remember where I was, but I know I watched it a lot of times.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right. Well, get this trilogy. I also watched it at my cousin's. I remember I was like 10 years old. I went over to stay the night on a Friday night, and I watched, now get this trilogy.
Let me see if I can guess.
Karate Kid, Lethal Weapon, and Johnny Dangerously all in succession. And it was like 2 o'clock in the morning because at the time, I didn't have a VCR at my house. So when I went to my aunt and uncle's, it was like total binge. It was like awesome because they had a VCR and all kinds of VHS tapes.
You know what was really cool is when something would come on TV and you could record something off the TV,
right.
and you could sit back to watch that thing the entire. What was the first VHS you ever remember buying? Or your family buying? I know exactly what mine were. When my parents bought our first VHS,
I don't
VCR.
I don't remember.
There was two movies we got. First one was Beach Blanket Bingo with Frankie Annette.
Okay.
Frankie
Funicello?
Funicello and Frankie Avalon.
Yeah.
And the second was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Okay, those are
Love that
solid.
movie. Right.
Yeah, so like I said, I used to love going to my aunt and uncles because I would always get to watch a movie, probably some that my parents wouldn't approve of, but I got to watch some cool movies anyway when I went over there. And on to your original question, it would have been one of my childhood favorites. I mean, I loved it. You know, you think about the 80s, all the kids wanted to do karate after this movie came out. It had a probably a big cultural
How many times
influence.
did you practice the crane kick?
All the time, just messing around in school or a gym class or whatever. So yeah, all the kids in my school instantly became interested in karate, learning karate. And it was,
Did you ever wear the
all we
bandanas?
talked about. I didn't have the bandana, but yeah. So I mean, it's one of my tops for as a kid. Just going back to the Lost Boys reference, it's a kind of a cheesy movie, but it's held up over time. I think ESPN did something. It was like one of the top 100 sports movies of all time. They did something back a few years ago. So I mean, it holds up over time. It's a good story of unlikely friendships from two opposite worlds. It's just a really nice, good movie, good story. Good ending.
Right. When you watch it as a kid, you're like, oh, this is just about revenge. I want to learn karate because I want to beat somebody up too.
Right.
But going back and watching it as an adult now, because it's been a couple of years since I watched it, just to watch this, how the story comes together because you don't really pay attention to the Miyagi scenes, about army and losing his
Right.
wife.
As a kid,
you don't even remember
you just
it.
Gloss over those.
Yeah. But then you see, you always start. Now I'm thinking about, hey, where's Daniel's dad? And one thing that I didn't like about this movie is when, Daniel gets beat up again. He takes his bike and he throws it because we didn't talk about where they run him off the side of a cliff with his bike. He falls down. He comes and he's like, I hate this stupid bike. And he throws it in the dumpster. And his mom's like, what's wrong with you? He's like, no. She's like, Daniel. She's like, you're gonna be okay. He's like, I don't want to be okay. He's like, you didn't ask me to move out here. You didn't ask my opinion. Guess what, Daniel? You're a kid. You don't get a choice when your parents do something. You know what I mean? But Miyagi fixes up his bike and all. He's like, did you fix up my bike? He's like, yeah. And that's when he goes in and learns how to trim the trees. So I didn't like that aspect of it, that he's just talking to his mom that way. You know what I mean? And I understand that it's hard for kids when you move across the country, new friends, new school, new places, and all that. But just the stories, how I think the father and son relationship that Miyagi had, because Miyagi had lost his son and his wife, and then Daniel didn't have a dad, and the way that they intertwined together, because Daniel was looking for that male role model in his life, somebody to help him through, and then Miyagi was looking for that son. Hey, I got some of the stuff that my wife's left me, and just he probably you could tell he didn't really have a friend, you know what I mean? And I think seeing them together as they came together showed I think it's more of a friendship movie, exactly. And then overcoming your obstacles together, you know what I mean, and then finding that balance in your life. So, Eric did find a interview from I think Dan Patrick's show with Ralph Macchio.
Yeah, there's a couple interviews that talk about some of the just different aspects of making the movie and what Daniel's life is. Ralph Macchio's life is now.
Right.
This was prior, I think, to the release of season 1 of Cobra Kai, which is now on Netflix. That's kind of the reason why we did this particular movie, because it was kind of timely. Since it went from YouTube Red over to Netflix platform, I think it's kind of skyrocketed over the last several
season
weeks.
3 is going to come out, I think, in a couple weeks, I think.
And it's pretty good. It's cheesy, too. But the backdrop of the new Cobra Kai series is more of a biopic of Johnny Lawrence. The movies are primarily focused on Daniel, and so we kind of get the story from Johnny's perspective and his life and how he came to be who he is, and he's kind of like stuck in the 80s still and 50 years old. And so
you're still stuck in the 80s too, Eric, just for the record.
Yeah,
I mean, because we just talk about NBA basketball, you said I just want to go back to the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
So there you have it. I think I'm going to throw in that interview right here. So we'll be right back.
What's the reaction on the street? If we walked out right now, within 5 blocks, what am I hearing?
Well, reaction what? For the new shows
no,
coming
just
out
you.
or just me?
Just you.
Get out of my way. Who are you? No. I think the reactions, you've been around, I've been around long enough in different areas. So I get, I'll get a nice broad spectrum of ages. I get kids that parents made them watch some of my movies, or kids that read The Outsiders, see that film.
Yeah.
You know, I'll get the Stay Gold Pony Boy shout outs. I'll get the, paint the fence.
Oh.
You know, I'll get the wax-ons. I'll get them a body bags and all that stuff that you guys probably talk about constantly.
I know.
Or open your show with.
Oh yeah,
maybe
oh,
just
yeah.
a hunch.
We've been known to do that.
But usually a pretty warm embrace.
But
So I gotta
it's
say
a
that.
compliment that they're saying, and
Yes.
I know you.
Yes.
I know you get tired of it, or how do I respond to the 97,000th time that somebody gets in doing the crane or
Right,
something?
making them feel that it's they're the first ones who came up with it. I think I'll say this much. Now as I get older, or shall I say, as I look younger, or try to, I embrace it more and more because you sign up for that. And the concept that, say, speaking of the Karate Kid and all this with the Cobra Kai series coming out, the fact that it's 34 years ago and people still have an opinion on it and want to talk about it or make videos about, was the crane kick an illegal move and should is John justice for Johnny, or is without Miyagi is he really anything? And he was my inspiration. The fact that is a relevant conversation. Who would not sign up for that 34 years later?
But it feels
it's a
like
great thing.
Mr. Miyagi is Belichick,
right?
And Daniel-san is Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Have you heard that analogy?
No, and I enjoy it. And I'm married to a model now. And as Tom Brady, no, I'm saying you don't need Tom Brady. No, I'm married to the greatest woman on the
Would you
planet.
have been anything without Mr. Miyagi?
Would Daniel LaRusso or would Ralph Macchio?
Would Daniel LaRusso?
That's a great question because we could all use our little human Yoda to guide us through adolescence and life. I think what Daniel LaRusso has become in those films, and now what happens to him in Cobra Kai, I would say he's a far better man, husband, father because of the Miyagi influence, and that's part of the arc in Cobra Kai. When we first meet Daniel LaRusso 30 years later, he has that void in his life. Miyagi's been gone for 8 years. Martial arts is not quite in his life anymore. He's got a great family, successful car. He's the auto king of the San Fernando Valley. Everything looks fantastic, but as Miyagi would say, not everything is as seemed.
What was that script like when you first saw Karate Kid? What'd you think?
I thought it was kind of corny. I thought it was... And at that time, I was pretty young and just coming into it, so it wasn't like I was a seasoned veteran of
Now, you had done The Outsiders.
I'd done The Outsiders, yes.
Okay.
So I and a few things before that, but The Outsiders was sort of the big break, and then Karate Kid took it to another level. I thought it was... I thought that the Miyagi-Daniel relationship was... and it's interesting, they always spoke about Toshiro Mifune or some great... Kurosawa's... kind of Japanese actor coming in and Daniel-san told me to paint the fence, it's like, and so it was a whole other thing. And when Pat Morita came in the room and was perfect in every possible way, that chemistry was just spectacular.
Who were you up against for that role?
Charlie Sheen was around. Downey Jr. was around. I think they found me early. They found me early in New York. I read with John Avildsen, who just passed away recently, sad, so some of these guys are not seeing this resurgence now. But I read with John. That video of me reading with John is on YouTube. You could see that on YouTube, my first cold reading and Pat's first cold reading separately. And he sort of edited them together. It's really fascinating because it's basically they handed me the script. I read the scene with the director, and you could watch that on YouTube and you see that kid. Like you see the role. It's not like, okay, then we had to take it here.
When did your life change with that movie?
When soon after the movie came out.
Was it a hit right away?
It was a sleeper hit, but
Okay.
it was the talked about. Going to a mall on a Saturday became less of a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
All right, so there you have it from his own mouth. So, Eric, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
Eric's going to sit down and we're going to record an episode or two of the Twilight Zone. So we're going to have those out here shortly. But don't forget to check out our new merchandise store on Redbubble. There's an app for it too if you have a smartphone. Just search The Tragedy of Cinema, and some of the proceeds will be kicked back to our artist. If you want to reach out or be a guest on the show, hit me up at thetragedyofcinema@gmail.com. We got some exciting stuff coming in the future too. Some more episodes of different fun stuff. And anytime we have an '80s movie, Eric's probably going to be here because he loves the '80s. So with that being said, I think this episode's coming to a close, and that's a wrap. And cut.